We are hitting the Colbert Ferry Trail here at off the Natchez Trace. Colbert's Ferry Trail. It's a 1.1 mile out and back, so about half mile there and half mile back trail here off the Natchez Trace Parkway in northwest Alabama. Last time I said northeast, but it's northwest, and it's close to Cherokee, Alabama again. It's one of 3 spots I'm going to be hitting today off the trace in northwest Alabama. Ooh, I'm white blazing already, spider webs, so no one's been on this trail for a little while. But we're going to see what it's like. It's sort of really pretty out here. As always, it's a Sunday, August 15th, 2021. It's about 80 degrees, not that humid. We had a huge storm blow through Friday, rainstorm, thunderstorm, and breached a lot of rain. And so it's not that humid out here, which is great. Now this is pretty cool right here. Along this little area right here. Just kind of pan down and down a little embankment there. Now, the trace was used by Choctaw and Cherokee Indian tribes for years, or for hundreds, thousands of years. How long they were in this area. And then settlers came and, started using the trace as well. So, this is a very well used trail, and in the old days, let's see if we can get a better look at old days. The old trace, there's parts of it on the old trace from Nashville to Natchez, Mississippi. Parts of the old trace are like kind of sunk down, kind of like in that really high embankments on both sides, due to all the foot traffic over the years, the hundreds of years. Or 1,000 years, however long they used it. But it kind of looks like that. High embankments on both sides, well worn in the middle. I just wonder if might be part of the old trace. I don't know. I am not an expert. Okay, if you see me stopping stuff, I didn't spray any bug spray, so I'm just checking for ticks and stuff. This trail's a little bit more overgrown than I thought it was going to be. But got a neat little bridge right here. Now, already this is a much better hiking little spot than Freedom Hills. Freedom Hills was just basically 3/10 of a mile out. It's 3/10 of a mile out to the overlook and 3/10 back, just to the highest point on the trace in Alabama. But my purpose of doing any of these videos is just to show you places you've never been before, or you may have been before. Just highlight any walking trails, roads, or just anything I can. So I like this. This is really cool. It's a dead tree in front of us here. I just think that's really cool. And just right there through the woods, probably about 20, 30 yards is the trace itself. Or, I'm sorry, a little access road off the trace. Okay. I'm going to be going down this embankment right here. Ooh, a lot of spider webs here. Okay, sorry about the jump cut there. I ran into a spider web and a spider was crawling on me, so I had to start swiping at it without thinking about filming, and so I'm gonna have to make an edit there. Yeah. So far, a lot of spider webs. The trail is a little bit overgrown. A little brush encroaching on the sides, but I guess that's to be expected on some of these trails. But lots of spider webs. I can tell there's been no one out here this morning. I'm the first person. So a lot of white blazing here. Okay. Nice little open meadow right here. This beautiful old growth tree here, cedar tree. It's huge. Okay. And if you can't read that, it says, after a venison supper, one guest at Colbert's stand spent the night in an outbuilding with not less than 50 Indians. Here and at about 20 other stands along the trace, cane tuck, riverboatmen, money-laden businessmen, Indians, and outlaws shared a spot of fellowship on a long, hazardous road. And if you can see that picture, it's a very old picture, but that house, the Wilderness Haven inn right here, used to be right there where we're at. We'll move on here. This is the little placard saying about the old Natchez trace. And here we are. Okay. Natchez Trace Parkway. Chickasaw Hospitality. George Colbert's stand sat atop the ridge before you. As many of the inns that dotted the trace between Nashville and Natchez, it provided travelers with food and lodging. And John Colbert is named after this county that we're in, Colbert County, Alabama, is named after John Colbert here. And a little bit more about like Chickasaw planters, an Indian tribe. Okay. Colbert stand. Okay, Colbert stand. George Colbert operated a ferry across the Tennessee River from 1800 to 1819. His stand or inn offered travelers a warm meal and shelter during their journey on the old trace. Colbert looked after his own well-being and once charged Andrew Jackson $75,000 to ferry his Tennessee army across the river. The site of his stand is a short 50 yards up this path. An additional 20-minute stroll will take you along the old trace to the Bluff Overlook Station and back. So evidently, it says this monument is to memorialize Chickasaw Chief George Colbert, who operated a river ferry, traveler's stand, and had a home on this Natchez Trace site. Colbert County, Alabama was named in his honor. Chief Colbert, Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. So he was a Chickasaw chief. We'll stroll down here and just see where this leads. I'm hoping this is the old trace and will take us to the Bluff Overlook, but I'm not sure. It looks just like overcast today, like it's gonna rain. But they said it wasn't gonna rain till about 1. It's gonna be overcast, but we hope it holds off here. So we're just gonna walk down here and see where this leads us. They said this was his ferry down here. Little loop down here. So down here below us is the Tennessee River. Yeah, this is going to be a little roundabout here. We'll do a little circle here and kind of look out over the Tennessee River. As I said in other videos, the Tennessee River flows from around Knoxville down through Alabama, back up and through a little bit through northeast Mississippi, back up into Tennessee, then up into Kentucky, and I think it empties into the Ohio River. So hard to see through the trees down there, but if you can, there's a bridge through that little opening right there in front of us. That's part of the bridge over the Natchez Trace, or the Natchez Trace Bridge over the Tennessee River, I should say. And on the other side of that bridge is going to be Lauderdale County, Alabama, where Florence is. So, I was hoping this tell us more about the bluff overlook, but I guess not. Okay. Safe crossings. In the early 1800s, ferries like the one that George Colbert ran near here on the Tennessee River linked segments of the Natchez Trace. Ferries carried people across the river for a fee. Post riders, Kentucks, military troops, casual travelers, slave traders, and enslaved people took the ferries. The Chickasaw had a title to the land in this region. The Chickasaw leaders like George Colbert understood the value of safe river crossings. In 1801, in one of their first treaties with the U.S., the Chickasaw allowed the U.S. to develop the Natchez Trace into a road. The Chickasaw retained the right to operate a ferry across the Tennessee River. Little picture there. And there's the Tennessee River. I think this is the Colbert's Ferry Trail. Thank you for joining me. We're going to pick back up here in probably about just a little bit. We should be at the Rock Spring Trail across that bridge over there in Lauderdale County.